I enjoy coming to work every day knowing that clients are depending on me to guide them through whatever financial needs they have.
Every client we have is different. And so it's really about finding out what's really the most important thing per client.
With financial planning, everything is interconnected. So a comprehensive plan means that you're taking care of income needs now, income needs in the intermediate term, and income needs long term. We'll do an asset cycle portfolio. We'll do a risk-alize test. We'll do a life insurance audit or a life insurance review.
And so when we build a deep relationship with our clients, then we can take a step back and then we can look at different options to help them specifically get to their goals. One of the things I feel our job is as advisors is to introduce strategies to clients that maybe they did not know that they were out there. But it's our idea, our job to come out and say, have you ever thought about this?
And the planning it's not always about income, but a lot of it is also about the legacy. So the element of family is very important to us, and it's important to our clients.
Hello, welcome to Financially Speaking with Jeff Bush. My name is Steve Jablonski and I'm the host for today's show. Again, we got a very good program, and the topic is 9 mistakes to avoid when you when you get out of a 401k. And we look at the environment today, and it's been said that almost 50% of people when they leave jobs don't roll over 401k, they take a cash distribution. And then you add on to that people who've come through COVID in the last couple of years, a lot of people have been leaving jobs versus when we go back, like I know my dad worked 2 jobs in over 40 years, and that's not the way it is now.
Yeah.
So with that said, Jeff?
Yeah. Well, hello, Steve. Welcome to the show. It's great to be here today, Financially Speaking. This is a really timely topic because the job market is changing. People are leaving jobs, and when you leave a job, you have a decision to make on your 401k. And I think it's, it really, what we're going to talk about today really touches on a lot of issues relative to financial planning, and specifically the financial planning that we do. So let's get right to it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, let's start off with the first one with
So mistake number 1. So these are 9 mistakes to avoid with your 9 401k mistakes to avoid. Mistake number 1, taking the money and run. So this is like we should have the old Steve Miller song, "Take the Money and Run." Take the money and run. So what a lot of people do when they leave a 401k or they leave a company, they cash in the 401k. That's not a good idea for a couple of reasons. The first reason is typically if you're leaving a job and you're under 59 and a half, you're going to get not only taxed on that distribution, but a 10% penalty as well. So tax, penalty, and then of course that's money that you are forfeiting from saving from retirement.
And with that too, what a lot of people don't realize is they're in the moment. Maybe they're not working with an advisor, and they're not looking at their retirement years away, and they don't know the real impact that taking that already saved money is going to have in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to look at it is taking a very long view, regardless of how old you are. When you're cashing in a 401k, you're really, sacrificing the future for some present need, whatever that is. And it may be, something that's very legitimate. Maybe you're trying to pay off a loan. Maybe you need to buy a car. you may be, you may have some housing issues, maybe you're moving, or, there could be a variety of reasons why you're doing it. But the fact of the matter is that you're sacrificing retirement money.
And if you think more the long term, you think of the rule of 72, and you have, say you have $100,000 in there, and if you get 7.2%, that money would double in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge impact on someone's.
Yeah, it is. It really is, Steve. I mean, it's the whole law of, like you said, the rule of 72, where you're. Let's remind our viewers what the rule of 72 is.
So with the rule of 72, you start with the percent interest that you would get, and then you just divide that into 72.
And that's how long it
And
takes your money to double.
That's how long. So
Yeah.
if you get 7.2%, you get 10 years
10 years
Yep.
to double.
to double.
Yeah, so
It's powerful.
yeah, so that is very powerful, and of course 7.2. That's just a hypothetical number that that you're using there, but it's in any event, no matter what percentage it is, it's it's something that you don't want to do.
Yep. And if we move into the second one,
Go ahead.
leave
Number two.
the money in your existing 401k with your old employer.
Yeah, so that's generally not a good idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's usually limited choices inside of a 401k. So the question might be, well, if you're not going to leave it with your former employer, what are you going to do with it? Well, you can roll it over into an IRA. And when you roll it over into an IRA, you can do just about anything with it. You can buy stocks, you can buy bonds, you can buy mutual funds, you can buy products that have guaranteed income. There's really a lot of things you can do when you roll it over into an IRA. But the fact of the matter is, the existing 401k that you have your money in is really built for accumulation.
Yes.
It's great for that, right? They take the money right out of your paycheck. The employer often matches it, and it's very convenient. Everything's tax deferred. But they're really built to accumulate those dollars. They don't have good mechanisms for distribution. They don't have any kind of like income riders or benefits or anything like that.
And when you talk about some plans have very limited choices, something that's very popular right now is an in-service distribution. Is that because there's so many limited choices in there, the employee has the option of taking money out to get a lot more choices
While they're still working.
While they're still working.
While they're still at the
yes.
while they're still at the
Yep.
company and still working, they can do an in-service distribution, and typically they can do that once they reach the age of 59 and a half. Not always.
Yeah,
It's always governed by the plan document, but we have found in our experience that if you're of retirement age, 59 and a half, you can do an in-service rollover or an in-service distribution. So that's kind of the opposite of keeping the money in the old 401k. That's actually taking money out of the existing 401.
And when you talk about leaving it in an old plan, there's been an occasion where some of the plan documents, not often, but where if someone passed away and it was in the 401k, they didn't have an option of a spousal IRA or so people got to be careful.
Yeah, there can be some limitations, but generally speaking, once you roll that money out into an IRA, then you have a lot more flexibility. There's a lot more planning flexibility with what you can do with that money once it's out of the employer's 401k and into an IRA.
So if we go to 3, we can talk a little bit about how the money comes out, how it's coded, and what options do you have?
Yeah, so mistake number 3 is executing a rollover instead of a direct transfer. So we see this mistake a lot, and it's really easily avoidable. So the way the IRS code is worded is if you take a direct distribution from your 401k, you have 60 days to take that money and put it into a qualified retirement plan, into an IRA. So that's problem number one, 60 days, and 60 days goes pretty quickly. You know, you get the money and the clock's, once you get that money, once that check is cut, you get the money, the clock starts.
Especially
tick.
if you're in between jobs or just starting a new job.
Yeah, yeah. Could be relocating. It could be there's all kinds of things that could delay this. But and then you have to have that account set up with another IRA institution, and it has to be funded within a 60-day period. But the other problem that causes, Steve, is that once you take that distribution from your existing 401k, the custodian is required to withhold taxes. Yep. And I believe they have to withhold taxes at a rate of 20%.
I believe so. Yep.
All right, so let's say you have a $50,000 balance in your 401k. Well, 20% of that is $10,000. Yeah. So you're only going to get $40,000. But you have to put 50 in the IRA, right?
Yep.
Or you're going to get taxed and penalized if you're under 59.5 on the amount that you don't put into the new account. So there's a simple way to avoid that, and that is by simply doing a direct transfer. So a direct transfer is that you take the money from the 401k plan, the custodian in the 401k plan, and you simply do a transfer and have the custodian from the 401k plan send the funds directly to the new plan. So you never really take constructive receipt of the money. It simply gets transferred over. So that's considered a direct transfer. Sometimes they refer to that as a direct rollover. Mm-hmm. The point is that you as the employee are never taking constructive receipt of the money, that you never touch the funds, the money.
Yep. Good. So we go to 4, and we see this frequently when people have been with the company for a while and they really, really, really believe in the company.
Yeah. The mistake number 4 is the company stock monster. So this is a problem for a variety of reasons, chief of which is diversification. And there's some pretty popular examples of this that have gone wrong. Chief of which and we're going back about 20 years now. Remember a company called Enron? Mm-hmm. A company an energy company in Texas, and they were forcing employees to buy company stock, and I believe they were matching the 401k with company stock.
Yes. And they did have a rule that you couldn't get out of it until you were 55. So the employees' hands were tied.
Yeah, and of course, what happened to the stock when the company fell apart, and the stock consequently fell apart, and those employees lost a lot of money, right? So then there's been some regulations since then that have really prevented some of those things from happening. But the other example that I'll give locally here is, and this has happened in our practice, is GE. We've had some GE employees that have had a fair amount of money tied up in the GE stock plan, and that stock hasn't done very well of late. So so how do we get around that, Steve?
Well, that's where you diversify.
Yeah, you diversify. So you maybe you just have a little bit in your company stock, and then I don't think the match anymore goes into the company stock.
No, I don't know anybody that does that.
Yeah, so you just, and a lot it's a trap that you can fall into rather easily. Is if you work for the company, you're a loyal employee, you love the company, and you have a good, you're drinking the Kool-Aid,
Yep.
and you have a good outlook on the stock, so you want to have the stock inside your retirement plan.
I mean, my suggestion there would be there's a lot of companies that offer a stock discount plan. And you may get stock at 15% discount. So there, you're a lot better off keeping it outside of your 401k, taking advantage of a discount rather than in your 401k.
Yeah, another term they use for that is dividend reinvestment plan, DRIP, where you can reinvest the dividends at a discount. And yeah, you're right. That's a good way to own company stock and not have it affect your 401k at the same time.
Let's go to number 5, and this is really around estate planning with failing to name proper beneficiaries.
Yeah, so mistake number 5, failing to properly name beneficiaries. So on your 401k plan or any qualified retirement plan, you have the option to name a beneficiary, both a primary beneficiary and a contingent beneficiary. So the contingent beneficiary is the beneficiary that stands in line if the primary beneficiary is already deceased before the account holder is deceased. So this is really important because if you don't have any beneficiary or if you have the wrong beneficiary, it really creates planning problems. So let's get into the example of having no named beneficiary on your 401k. So how does that happen? Well, one way that could happen is you could name one person as the primary beneficiary, not name a contingent beneficiary, and the primary beneficiary dies before the account holder. So then, in that example, the money defaults to the estate, okay? The problem with that is that now you lose all the tax benefits of the IRA to begin with, right? So the money needs to be distributed right away because an estate can't own an IRA, has to be distributed. And of course, it's important to mention here too, Steve, is that the beneficiaries that you name on your retirement accounts, whether it's a 401k or whether it's an IRA, they're always going to supersede the will. Okay, so oftentimes we'll have conversations with people and they'll say, oh yeah, well in my will I have my kids as the beneficiary, or I have my, a distant relative as my beneficiary. But what they don't realize is that their 401k beneficiaries could say something else. And the 401k beneficiary is what's going to take precedence upon death, because it's a direct payment to the beneficiary.
And I've really seen this impact some second marriages, because not only is the beneficiary on 401ks, but you throw in life insurance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, life insurance is the same thing. You're right, and so it becomes particularly important to we always emphasize the need to review beneficiaries when we have our when we have review meetings with our clients, to make sure that the beneficiaries are current and up to date. And again, when there's death, when there's a divorce, second marriages, those kinds of things typically, generate the need to change beneficiaries, because a lot of times people will get divorced and not realize that the ex-spouse is still on the account as the beneficiary, and that's not oftentimes is not the intention. But the other thing I think is important to mention here too is when you're inheriting an IRA from another person as a direct beneficiary, you have certain benefits and certain rights with that IRA account. Like if you're inheriting it from a spouse, you can make it like it's your own IRA. If let's say you're inheriting it from one of your parents, then the law recently changed. You have 10 years now to take the money out of that IRA account. So, spreading the tax benefit, or the tax bite, I should say, over 10 years is a lot better than paying it all at one time. So there's a lot of tax planning that's involved here, but the tax planning really goes away if you don't have the properly named beneficiaries.
It's an important part.
It's an important part. Steve, I think before we jump into some of these other mistakes, we should probably go into some of the other slides, I think, that are relative here. So you wanted to talk about our offices?
Yeah, one very exciting thing is, it's in a couple months back, we had an acquisition of a bordering practice, both with USA Financial, and we've extended our offices from 2 to 4. So our main office is in Norristown, and we have the one here, which we're filming at today in Pottstown. Yeah. And then we have one in Birdsboro, which is another kind of main hub for the practice that
not far from here
we acquired. And then we also have one up in Allentown. So it's hopefully it's a lot more convenient for our clients to choose any one of the 4 offices that we staff.
Yeah, so it's nice we're spreading our footprint out a little bit. So you and I are running those 4 offices along with another advisor that we have on our team, Shannon. So we have three advisors and 4 offices. So it's pretty exciting.
And one other thing we can throw in there is that we will be doing upcoming seminars on making the most of your Social Security through planning, and they're going to be November 10th and November 16th at the Wyomissing Public Library.
Yeah, so we've been doing these public seminars for a while now, for over 20 years. So we like to. It's nice to be in the studio here and put this production together on PCTV. But it's also nice to take the show on the road. People get to meet us. Steve, you spend some time signing autographs afterwards,
I do.
and the popularity of these events are, sometimes overwhelming. We have to shut it down after a while with all the requests that we get for tickets to our event. But it's going to be fun going up to the Wyomissing Library in November.
Yep, they can pop onto our website, info at Inform Family Financial.
Yeah, if you want tickets, just send us an email we'll put that information up on the screen. You can either give us a call or send us an email, and we'll make sure we get tickets out to you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, let's get into number 6, and that's really trying to recoup losses. And I guess this comes down to really not trying to time the market.
Yeah, and this is a good time to put this slide in here, especially given all the things that have happened in 2022, and a lot of it is really understanding risk. And Steve, I always say you don't want to time the market. It's time in the market. So really, and a lot of these 401k plans now offer these target funds. And the target funds are good because they adjust the allocation and the risk as you move closer to retirement. So that's a good one because oftentimes people do try to chase performance. Oh, what was the best fund last year? Let's put our money there for this year, and typically that doesn't work because if usually the best sector of the market isn't going to be the best performer, year after year. So you don't want to, it just breaks up all fundamentals.
And then we get to 7, bury your head in the sand about retirement, and I guess you really just don't want to look at the 401k as one piece by itself.
Yeah. So mistake number 7, burying your head in the sand about your retirement. So, you don't want to look at any one facet of your plan in a vacuum. So, one of the things that we have found is people start too late, right? And we got into one of the earlier mistakes we talked about. Take the money and run, and people were moving from job to job. That people I think statistically now people are going to have like 7 jobs during the course of their career. So that's a lot of job change. And every time you change a job, you got your you're like starting all over again with your new retirement plan, with your new 401k. And oftentimes people are really just getting caught up in their day-to-day life so much that they're not even thinking about retirement. And just like we say, this is not your father's stock market, it's also not your father's retirement. And there's no pension in a lot of cases, the vast majority of cases now. So that means that you have to take control of the retirement income, retirement planning, all by yourself, and that's typically done with the 401k.
And when we go on to number 8, again, it's something that people don't think about, and is when they take a distribution and they have an existing loan.
Yeah, so mistake number 8, forgetting about a loan. So, most 401k plans allow you to take a loan from it.
Yep.
So you can borrow money, pay yourself back. There's no, the interest that you incur, you're getting a very favorable rate. You're paying yourself back with interest. But the problem is that if you go to cash out your 401k or go to roll it over into another plan, that loan will become a taxable event. So whatever amount is outstanding, the loan will be forgiven, but it'll become taxable. So, and again, if you're under 59.5, guess what? Penalty. So you don't want to, you have to think long and hard about doing that if you have a loan inside of a 401k. We generally advise against that, against rolling that over.
And then we'll finish up with number 9, doing it alone.
Well, yeah, mistake number 9, doing it alone. This has, the need to use a financial professional to guide your retirement. Retirement today is very complicated. There's a lot of things to consider. We touched on a lot of these today. We touched on, the risk, changing jobs and what that does, and the fact that there's no pension. So the need to, whether it's our firm or whether it's somebody else, the need to have a financial professional, I think, is important. So we're going to wrap up today, Steve. I think the thing I'll mention that we haven't covered yet is the in the news slide that we want to put up there, and all the activity that we've had over the past several months with some of the news outlets that have given us coverage not only of our new merger, but also some of the articles that we've written. So we'll put that slide up there. And with all that being said, Steve, I think this is a good show today, and we'll see you next time on Financially Speaking.